Hey guys, today we're going to talk about angle pairs. So we're going to identify angle pair relationships and learn about how we can calculate the measurement based on those relationships. So the first part is just going to all be vocabulary. So up at the very top it says two angles that sum to 90 degrees are called complementary. So they're complementary angles. When put together, these angles form a right angle. So in other words, any two angles that add up to 90 degrees or form that right angle would be complementary. So underneath it, I want to sketch what that's going to look like. So I have a little right angle. I can put my square in the corner that denotes that it's a right angle. And then if I draw a line to bisect that right angle, it splits into two separate angles, and I can label those 1 and 2. So angle 1 plus angle 2 would give me 90 degrees. Angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. Okay, next one down, two angles that sum to 180 degrees are called supplementary angles. When put together, these angles form a straight line. Okay, so if we look at supplementary angles, any two angles that give us a straight line, so if I have my straight line, I can draw another line that kind of splits it into two separate angles. So I have angle 1 and angle 2. Angle 1 and angle 2 would then be supplementary because it gives you that straight line right there. So they add up to 180 degrees and they give you a straight line. The third one, two angles that share a vertex and are opposite of one another are called vertical angles. These angles are congruent. Okay, so if we draw a sketch of that, we can draw two lines that intersect one another. And when those lines intersect, it creates four angles. So if this were angle 1, this would be angle 2, and angle 1 and angle 2 would be vertical. So when it says that they share a vertex, the vertex is that center point. So it's right in the middle. It's kind of like that center point between those two angles. It's almost like they're sitting across from each other. Okay, so they also have the same angle measure. So if one is 60 degrees, 2 would also be 60 degrees. All right, two angles that share a vertex and a side are called adjacent angles. Okay, so let's draw that same configuration from up here. So I have two lines that intersect one another. My vertex, once again, is that center point. So if it shares a vertex and a side, it means that these two angles are directly next to each other. So do you see how they share that vertex point, but then they also share this side right there? So those would be called adjacent. All right, so now down at the bottom, we are going to name some examples of the kinds of angles that we've talked about. So the first one that we are going to look at are vertical angles. So vertical angles, once again, are directly across from one another, and they have the same angle measure. So a vertical angle here would be angle AOE. So I'm going to write that as angle AOE over here. This little symbol there just means that I'm talking about an angle. So AOE and angle COD would be vertical. They share that vertex point, and then they have the same angle measure on both sides. Supplementary angles, so if we look back up at the top, there are two angles that add to 180 degrees. So two angles that would add to 180 degrees could be angle COD and angle DOE. So there's my straight line that would be formed from those two. So angle COD and angle DOE. All right, complementary angles. So that's two angles that add up to 90 degrees and create that right angle. So we would say angle BOC is complementary to angle COD. Okay, adjacent angles. So those angles are any two angles that are directly next to each other. So we could take our complementary angles, because those are right next to each other. We could take our supplementary angles. As long as they share that vertex and that side, there could be lots of different answers here. So I'm just going to take our supplementary ones. So angle COD and angle DOE. If we look at those angles, COD is here, so that's this angle, and DOE is there. They share the vertex in the middle, and then they would also share this side. Okay, one more example down at the bottom. Okay, so we are looking at this configuration and we're doing the same thing here. So we're going to name a pair of vertical angles first. So once again, vertical angles have the same angle measure, and they have they share a vertex, so they're directly across. So angle AOB, so that's this one, and then angle DOC are vertical to one another. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees, so there are a couple different options you could put here. I'm going to do angle DOC and angle BOC. Okay, complementary angles, we only have one pair of complementary angles, so those are those two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So angle AOB and angle AOE. All right. Okay, so those are the types of angles that we are going to focus on today. If you have any questions, please bring them to class and make sure you write them down in your WISC. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.